Hello. Uh, Today we are starting our unit on waves. This lesson is kind of an introduction to the vocabulary uh, about the basics of waves so that when we're talking about the applications, like sound waves and light waves and stuff like that, we will have words to talk about them and compare them. So to start, in physics, a wave is a disturbance or transfer of energy that travels through space. And note, what actually is transferred is energy. So a wave is a transfer of energy. That's the key part of that definition. In this unit, we're going to be learning about a couple of different kinds of waves. We're going to learn about mechanical waves, where the transfer of energy goes through an actual physical medium made out of matter. So like water waves transfer energy through water. Sound waves transfer energy through air molecules. We'll also learn about electromagnetic waves, which transfer energy through a vacuum. Like light waves can travel through nothingness, the nothingness of space. So we'll be learning about both kinds of waves. So to compare waves to each other, we have to have a way of like drawing them and discussing them. So we're gonna, most of the time in this class, draw them as like these sine waves. And the different parts of the waves, we're gonna call the top part of a wave the crest, and the bottom part of a wave the trough. And then the part in between the crest and the trough is called the equilibrium point. Okay, so one of the key features of a wave is the amplitude, which is the distance from the equilibrium to the crest or a trough. So if you have a wave like this, the equilibrium point is the halfway point here. So the amplitude of the wave could be either this value here or this value here. Doesn't really matter. Just from the midpoint to the top or the bottom of the wave. So that's amplitude. The other big one for waves is the wavelength. This is the length of one full cycle of a wave, and it can be measured in several ways. So this GIF is showing you how the wave is a wave of energy traveling through. And this is from the crest of one wave to the crest of the next wave. So like this. So there's one complete cycle of the wave from the top of this crest all the way down to the trough to the top of the next crest. But you could just as easily measure from the bottom of the trough, the bottom of the wave, to the bottom of the next wave. You could measure from the midpoint. Here we have one complete cycle of the wave, down and then up and then down to that point again. You could measure it honestly from any point, like from here to here to here. Usually the places that you'll see in diagrams is either from crest to crest, from trough to trough, or from the midpoint to the midpoint. Like any of these, all of these, if you notice, they're all the same length. So that's wavelength. And those two, amplitude, wavelength, and frequency, are the most important things. And when we study sound and light, each of those three things has a visible or an audible effect. And we'll be studying them. So the last key vocab word for today is the frequency of a wave. Frequency refers to the number of cycles that pass a point every second. So you could get out a stopwatch and actually time this. So if we were to time it for like 10 seconds and count how many complete waves pass through this point here compared to how many of these waves pass, we would see that this one has more cycles per second than this one does. More full waves pass through every second. So that's frequency. The other difference between these two is this has a longer wavelength, and we can see that there's a relationship between how long the wave is and the frequency of the wave. So in this case, the longer wavelength has a lower frequency. There's less waves passing through every second, whereas the shorter wavelength has more waves passing through every second. So wavelength and frequency are related to each other. That is about it. You just got a few multiple choice questions to practice with the vocab. And then tomorrow we start looking at sound. I'm very excited. Take care.